Hi, this is Joey Ebanks, and I'm just letting you all know that the Joey Ebanks Show is for paid programming. I accept all liability from this show. My guests will accept theirs and all callers, and I am not affiliated in any way with the Paramount Group of Companies, its managers or employees. Welcome to the Joey Ebanks Radio Show right here on Vibe 98.9 FM. Thank you all for joining us. I do hope you have your Facebook page all pulled up. It doesn't matter if you're in traffic, just pull over to a friend's house. I hope you guys got together, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. I don't even know if we're going to have time for commercials, so here are 15 minutes. I'm going to have to ask my producer to just remind me that I need to make a radio announcement or something, and identification. So we're going to talk about quite a few things, and I'm not sure which one of these is the best one to start with, so I may as well start at the top. Now, you'll see in today's Compass where the governor is saying he applied for a job in Mexico. And I just want to make this perfectly clear, folks, that I sent a total of 32 emails with 32 pieces of evidence to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and the House of Commons. And in fact, I'm just gonna jump to this. And if you have your Facebook page up, I'm gonna post the first one now. And I made it. I think I make it very clear in this email you're going to see a copy of right now. And you have to here we go. So the first one is posted up. This was sent on April the 29th, 2013 at 11:16 a.m. And basically, what I've said to them is, this is the first of the emails I sent. It speaks to corruption in Cayman. I had to edit this photo, put in a little pirate smiley face over some names, because I do have a temporary injunction against me by Dan Scott, and it doesn't permit me to say certain things, use certain words. And that, in one of those injunctions for one of those statements, is verbatim what I've written here. So I had to cover it up a little bit. And I just want to say that as it relates to that, this is where this is coming from. They obviously got a copy of this email from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. I'm sure they got copies of all the evidence. And in here, and you see in paragraph 2, let me just read what paragraph 2 says. I am asking the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to take action before the May the 22nd elections to prevent further infringement of my rights. I've also submitted to our Bill of Rights or Human Rights Commission a request for an opinion, and I'm going to send some more. Folks, you have to understand that when we did a Bill of Rights, when we did the new Constitution, remember I was a part of the PPM when this was drafted and this was put out there. We have our Bill of Rights, but we also have an obligation to the European Union Bill of Rights, and I intend to take this there as well, if I can find some legal representation. So to go back to a little bit to the Dan Scott issue with his lawsuit against me, we went to court. We tried to get a press conference to explain what happened. Naturally, none of the media has allowed me to speak out, so I have to rely here on my radio show here and Facebook to present to the people my side of the story. We went into court. I cannot get any attorney. I've tried. In fact, I'll make a plea right here, right now, to any of the lawyers on Ireland that can practice locally. I'm seeking an attorney to assist me with my defense against the Dan Scott lawsuit. If you have no conflict with Ernest & Young and Dan Scott, then I'm asking you to please let me know. My number is 917-9288, 917-9288. Contact me on Facebook as well. Also, any of the attorneys out there who's willing to take on my lawsuit against the governor himself and his infringement upon my rights, as well as David Baines, I have a lawsuit that I'd like to take to court against him, and one against Ezra Miller as well. So any lawyer out there who's willing, as you all know, I've had some difficulty getting a lawyer to take my case because they're afraid. They've made it clear that it's too political. They're afraid of what will happen to their law firm, their practice, if they take on Dan Scott, and especially if they win. And no one's doubting that based upon the case that they can win. So I got a temporary injunction from the court. I will not go against that. I think without a doubt that there's been enough people in this country already refusing to follow instructions from the Grand Court judge. So I'm not going to follow suit on that. I'm not going to follow the corrupt elite that I compete against and fight against and trying to get rid of. the getting back to the governor's story. Yeah, I'm sure you requested a transfer. You want to go to Mexico because you can speak Spanish and all that kind of thing. But, folks, I sent 32 emails, 32 pieces of evidence. I can't share all the evidence with you. Some of it you have, some of it you don't have. I can send the majority of it, I guess, to the Facebook page, and you can all read it. But I've taken on this position, and thus far, I believe that I'm making progress. I have more and more people supporting me. The support base is growing rapidly, not just nationally, but in particular Northside during my campaign. And it's getting bigger and bigger, and people are getting enough. We know this corruption exists. So I've sent several emails to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. I'm going to just put up some more. You have to understand, folks, that there are things that no one can do as it relates to our rights in this country. So I'm going to post up another piece here. This is the one, I'm sure you all have read this as well. This is where Dan Scott is threatening me with a lawsuit because and he's doing so as the chairman of the Cayman Islands Judicial and Legal Services Commission. So a government agency is suing a candidate and the citizens and trying to prevent them from freedom of speech. That's what this really boils down to. Our Bill of Rights here is vertical. What that means is that it's government directly down and it's not horizontal, and we need to change that. But we do have the European human rights that we have to adhere to here as well. And make no mistake, folks, no one is without some commitment and responsibility to someone else. And England itself has some obligations to the European Union as well as the United Nations. Now, I've sent several emails to United Nations as well, requesting their intervention, at least acknowledgement that this is happening and what's happening in this country. So that's been done as well. You folks, here's the thing with Taylorism, and I'm folks, you'll hear that I'm not angry. So I want to make that clear. I'm maintaining my composure. I'm not going to get angry here and start shouting so that these guys can then label me as a crazy black man or whatever else they do. But folks, if this governor was fully aware when he was leaving, when he signed his contract for David Beans, so he knew that. He had been notified by then. Make no mistake, folks, he was instructed that he had to make his departure public. It had to be made public through the media. He was instructed to do so. If not, they would have waited until after the election to announce this. They would love to have contained this for well through the election. Let me explain some of the things that I've been working double time on in Northside. Is currently we have members of the RCIP in the district of Northside, and I have a very strong young base made up of young people, and they're being harassed. Some of the questions they're being asked is, when is the last time you've seen Joe Ebanks? What words did he say to you, or what did he say to you? Questions along that line. And I have spent a great deal of time talking to the young people and asking them and insisting that they not commit themselves to anything. I can't help them if they're in jail. And I'm gonna make a plea to all the young people in Cayman right now. We need to set aside our differences, and we need to pull together. We have 7 days left in this election. And it's going to take the young people in this country to make this change. You obviously have seen the evidence I'm posting up. And I'm saying to you that the tomorrow that this country has is yours, and you have to fight for it now. You have to help me fight for this. And I'm saying, look, if you convict me in court, if I'm convicted, jail me for a very, very long time. I won't hold that against anyone. I'm telling you that I am going to be set free of all these charges against me. I am telling you that we got major corruption here, and I'm fighting a battle against some very wealthy people and some very powerful people. But I'm fighting here on the ground as well as overseas, and I need some help here. And I'm asking the young people to, stop. You have to participate now. And we have to remain without violence. I don't believe in violence. And I'm saying to anyone who does, if you can go to the primary school and pick up a child and see all those babies there and want to have any act of violence, then something's wrong with you, because, we don't need it. The pen truly is mighty end of the sword. And you have to remember something else. History teaches us something. It teaches us that at the height of their power, when they were the most powerful country in the world, The British Empire was defeated by Gandhi without firing a shot. This man beat them. He beat them without firing a shot. And that's when they were their most powerful. They were this great empire conquering all people. And today they're far, far from that. There's something else you also need to understand. Not all English people are like this. Not all English people subscribe to what's going on in this country. I'm going to speak right now to the English residents in this country. You all must be ashamed of what's going on here with this governor and this commissioner of police, because back in England, this could not happen. It could not happen. And I don't know what happens here, what kind of reconditioning you all go through to become whatever you become. And want to separate and remain segregated from us. Why, if we smell bad or something is wrong with us, why you don't want to integrate with us and socialize with us. But to all nations in this country, that needs to stop as well. This is the Cayman Islands. We were born here. We were raised here. We welcome people here. We give people citizenship here to join us and help us build. But we have some corrupt individuals in this country that we need to get rid of, or they're going to cause some serious problems for all of us. All of us. And make no mistake, folks, when I speak about my 10 independent investigations once I'm elected, it's going to get rid of them. And I have candidates, for example, Jonathan Pearson called me yesterday, having reviewed a significant amount of this evidence, and wanted to come to my meeting on Wednesday night to endorse me and to make it clear to the people on the north side that he's going to second these motions to allow me to table these independent investigations and to get it done. And I have respectfully declined, because I've taken this journey alone. I want to make sure I go the distance alone, and he's supporting me. There's more and more people supporting me, and it's getting stronger and stronger nationally. I have my meeting Wednesday night, and there's small business owners who are now digging in their pockets for what little they can afford and hiring buses to meet here at Rankins Plaza for those who cannot travel or don't want to drive out the distance, to take them to this meeting so they can hear the story as well, and they can get the evidence and they can see it. And they can see the plan I have for Northside as well. So we're making progress is what I'm saying. Young people, I need the youth in this country to start to have a voice and to speak out. You need to help me with my youth in Northside. Join them in helping me to rid ourselves of Ezra Miller. But more importantly, to get these 10 independent investigations tabled in Parliament. And let's put some people before the courts. And let's see what the courts will do. And let's see how many of these end up in jail. Because I'm not going to go away. I've been here by myself. I started this road. You'll remember people thought that I was crazy. People thought all kinds of things. But with the amount of evidence I've produced, you have to admit that I've produced the evidence. I told you with my first show, my first 12 minutes is on YouTube. You go and listen to it. I made a statement then that I would see Duncan Taylor out of my country. And everybody said to me, sure, you're going to see him out, but you'll see him out after the election. Well, you've seen what is in the newspaper, in the Caymanian Compass. And they're obligated, they don't have a choice but to print the facts as it relates to this. This had to be made public to you. Now, they can spin it afterwards. You'll see another story coming out saying, oh, well, I applied for the position. Sure, you did. Yeah, man, you did. You want to leave the beautiful Cayman Islands and go to Mexico with a high crime rate. You know why the crime is so high in Mexico? It's high because of corruption. And they need to do what we're going to do here. And folks in Cayman, let me tell you something. That's the path we're headed to if we don't end the corruption in this country and rid ourselves of them. All of it. No, not a few of them. All of it. So we need to stop this, and we need to give young people a fair chance at wealth, young people a fair chance at getting a job, at owning a business, and we need to give small business owners a chance to grow as well. Now, here's what we know about Taylorism and how it relates to the recent news that is out there. And I'm sure he's listening. So here's what we know Taylorism. Fact, the contract expired in 2014 and has been cut short. Fact 2, you had to announce this to the public. You had to. You were instructed to. Fact 3, he, Dan Scott and Bridget Colonel knew, and they saddled us with this 4-year contract for beans. They knew that this had come down to this, and yet the 3 didn't sat down. They excluded the 2 members of cabinet, elected members of cabinet, and they made this decision on their own. The question is why? Why, and what does David Beans have something that he forced them into? What's going on here? Is this the last attempt to win and control the outcome of this election? I mean, today you're seeing where, while Mr. Norman Borden has already gotten on a political platform, he's already endorsed the PPM candidates, and yet now he's being made what? In charge of the election observers. Come on, folks. I mean, how much more of this are we going to let them throw in our face and allow to happen in this country? Once he endorsed that team, how can he now be unbiased towards anyone and really be an observer? Come on. I mean, these are the kind of things that it's not about justice occurring, It must also appear to occur. You cannot take something as emotional as general elections in a democracy and fiddle with it in this way. And this is what we've been fighting against. This has to stop. This is just blatant now. And saying to us, you're all as stupid and we don't care and there's nothing you can do to stop us. So to the people of the Cayman Islands, and particularly the people of North, I'm saying to you, we need to bring an end to this, and we need to bring some of these people before the courts. The law in this country must be abided by everyone. Here's the other fact. The last governor did not renew Dan Duguay's contract. And Dan, I know you and Susan listening overseas, so I got something for you for getting involved in this. You want to get into this? I warned you all. You take a shot at me, I'm going to take two at you. And I'm going to deal with you and your sick mentality in a few minutes. But I'm going to deal with Taylorism first. So, the last governor knew that Dan Duguay's contract was coming up. He had evidence that I had submitted to him. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later on. So he refused to renew that contract. Mr. Donny Ebanks became the acting governor while he was waiting for Taylorism to arrive. And they went through that process, and Dan Duguay was sent packing. And he was sent packing because of a file that I saw to was in the hands of the governor and Mr. Donny Ebanks and everybody else who was involved at that time. And Joel Walton and my board at the Bosun's Beach Turtle Farm at the time, they all know about what I'm talking about. But we're going to get to that a little bit later. And I'm going to show you how the Caymanian Compass and the other local media like the CNS and Win the Ledger, who is sick in her own way, but sick nonetheless, took this pervert and made him into this great, great man. So if Dan Duguay, if you're here in Cayman, I hope you're listening, because we're going to talk about what really happened right in Bosun's Beach while you were the Auditor General. All of it going to come out this evening, you hear me? And I got 117 employees that I left at Bosun's Beach who are fully aware of this. And I got named the board members who are fully aware of what transpired there. So you stay tuned as well, Dan, okay? So, fact, this is the first governor. This governor wasn't allowed to retire after leaving Cayman. He's being sent on another assignment. And there's another fact. I posted up the first of the emails, or two of the emails, that I sent 32 emails to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in the House of Commons, where I outlined what is going on in this country and asked them to intervene before the elections to make sure that we were given some level of comfort that this kind of stuff would end in this country. And we got it. And they had to be published. So, folks in Cayman, don't think for 1 second that the corrupt elite in this country has absolute and total protection from what's coming once I can get elected and put this on the floor of Parliament. Now, here's one of the things that keeps coming my way. The people say to me, well, Joey, why don't you table all the evidence at once? Why don't you give it all to us now? I'm going to post up now. And remember, I told you all that there were bonuses given at ERA. There was issues with the audits. There was stuff going on. I made that complaint to the Commissioner of Police, David Baines. He, along with the one with Ezard, selling or attempting to sell work permits to the Ritz-Carlton, and nothing has been done. Now, that's proof that Ezard is being supported by this corrupt group, and they're not willing to do their job to bring this man before the courts on charges for attempting to sell work permits to the Ritz-Carlton. So we know that because I posted up the response from the Commissioner of Police acknowledging receipt of my complaint. 2, we know that because I posted up evidence, all the evidence that proves he was the chairman of the work permit board at the time, and his email where he was negotiating and telling his buddies how he was going to get hundreds of persons from Cuba to come in for the Ritz and charge them 15% of annual salary plus expenses. Now we know that. And in that complaint, I include to the Commissioner of Police, I included the allegations against this current Auditor General and Louis Bashore, and I said there was misappropriation of funds. There was no approval from the board. Their emails are there. we can track them. Now, I'm sure if I keep pumping stuff out there, they're going to try and cover things up. So I'm going to send you now what I had a friend FY, and I'm going to post up this letter. You read into it. Read into it, this letter, because the auditor that I was discussing this with when this was going on was Gay Fry. And she works for the Office of the Auditor General. She's fully aware of the correspondence between she and I, where I said, when I was asked if I would approve and backdate the requests for the approval for these bonuses that were paid without approval, without board approval, I said no, simply because even if I was an employee at the time, I couldn't do it because that is not for me to do. It has to be approved by the board, not me. So you'll see this letter coming from the chairman of the board, Sherry Borden-Cohen, and it reads, and I'm just going to read it to you. Reference ERA board approval, acting managing director, bonus. Dear Ms. Fry, I, Sherry Borden-Cohen, chairperson of the ERA board, hereby confirm that at its meeting of June the 7th, 2012, the ERA board voted and agreed that Mr. Louis Bouchard, Deputy Managing Director of the ERA, shall be entitled to an acting managing director bonus in the amount of 4,000 CI. ERA check number 1480 in the amount of 4,000 CI was issued to Mr. Bouchard on June the 26th, 2012. Please note that ERA staff members were asked to leave the meeting when the matter was discussed, so there was no scribe available to record the decisions in the minutes. On behalf of the board, I therefore apologize for this decision. Apologize if this decision was omitted from the meeting minutes. Please do not hesitate to comment. So that's up there. You can take a look at that. Look at it for yourself. Read it. It's either, you can either call this, you call it what you want to call it. I'm just putting it up. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not going to divulge everything I know without the full power of Parliament. If I do so, things are going to change, things are going to disappear, and dates are going to suddenly change, and I won't have what I need and be able to use to bring these people before the courts with these independent investigations I'm referring to. So you're there. I'm going to post up as well. Here's the approval for the signed off of the audit. You'll see that. I just posted that up as well. And you'll see on the left-hand side that was part of the evidence that I sent to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. And I'm going to repost Ezra's famous email where he's saying to his buddies that he's negotiating. Now, let me read that to you as well. He says, all I have committed to this recruitment for the Ritz, so we need to visit Cuba ASAP and sort this out. I am unable to leave before May the 25th, as I need to be around for next week, depending on what happens in elections. Jerris, you need to contact Fernandez so he can assist us with this, and I will contact my people in Cubacan and ask for their help. The fee I have quoted the Ritz is 15% of annual salaries plus expenses. Can you confirm availability for May the 25th so I can proceed with arrangements? Signed, Ezard. And he sent this email to Stephen Scott, Addington Powell, who was then the CFO of CUC, and Oceans at Canada that I assume must be Jerris. Of course, he got a response from Addington Powell, and it said, Ezard, how many positions the Ritz will want to fill with this from this source? Ezard responds and says, I have asked Marlene for a list of positions, but it's likely to be several hundred. I have also made some contacts in DR, and I assume that's Dominican Republic, for them, so we may need to take a trip there as well. Signed, EM. So we took a look at the dates and times back then. This was around about 800 employees that the Ritz would be looking for. And the Ritz can dispute this if they choose to publicly. I'm saying it was around 800 employees that Ezra was going to bring in from Cuba and from the Dominican Republic. And no Caymanian would be allowed to work, and no Caymanian would be allowed into the Ritz. And you, the Caymanians who have applied for jobs at the Ritz and been turned down, here is your reason why, that you can't get a job there. So the man who claims he's all for Caymanians was seeking to bring in 800 Cubans to fill jobs within the Ritz-Carlton. We also took and did an average of what we think the annual wages and salaries would have been for those 800 to calculate the 15%. This worked out to somewhere around about $3 million they would have made from this deal. Now, there is no license on record that indicates that these gentlemen had a business to even source human capital for anyone. There is an FOI that I received from the Immigration Department Freedom of Information person, and she made it clear that at the time, the date that the email was written, Ezard was in fact the chairman of the Work Permit Board during that time. So he was chairman at the time. He wrote the email. He was soliciting. He was attempting to sell work permits at the time to the Ritz-Carlton. The Penal Code, Section 89 of the Penal Code, clearly deals with this. Clearly deals with this. So there's no reason why the Commissioner of Police cannot bring charges or could not bring charges against him at that for doing what he did. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Taylorism, but I want to get into the Dan Duguay, since little short stuff wants to jump into this battle, go on publicly and do his little speaking engagement, calling everybody in Cayman corrupt, saying it's endemic, we're all corrupt. Well, while we take this short break, folks, here's something I want you to think about. I want you to remember this, because this is so common in this country now that every one of you should recognize this. Remember, Epp was the person in charge of was the complaints commissioner. Epp was there, and we brought in Jennifer Dilbert, Miss Jennifer Dilbert. Remember when she came in, the Compass had a cartoon that they ran on their online Compass page for months with a big man's shoe. It was a big men's shoe with her fitting in it, her little small self in it, and they saying that she had very big shoes to fill. Well, if you all can recall that was a cartoon they did of her. Why? Because she's a Caymanian, okay? And he's not. And Compass is going to promote the foreigner every time. Every single time. If they cared anything about this country, had any respect for us, when Brent Fuller insulted our parliament, they would have fired him. When the Speaker of the House wanted to send him to jail, that the then Premier McKeever Bush and the leader of the PPM, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, were the only two who stood up and asked Parliament to not do that. It was sending a wrong signal globally. It was only two that didn't want to take those action. If the Compass had any respect for this country and its people, they would have fired him then, but they didn't. Rather, they run this thing on this cartoon. It had this big male shoe. It's John Epp's shoe, or Epp, whatever his name is, an Epp shoe. And in there is this little cartoon woman that's supposed to represent Jennifer Dilbert, and it's a very large shoes to fill. The day, in a day, that Epp or Dan Duguay, Duncan Taylor, or any David Beans can stand in the shoes of Jennifer Dilbert for 5 minutes is the day I'll apologize to you all. She is far, far superior to anything you can bring in here. Now, here's what they're doing to try and make her look bad. They cut her budget so that she can't perform the investigation. You see, back when Epp was in charge, he was paying Cayman 27, sponsoring shows that his foreign friends wanted to watch. He had so much cash in his budget. He was sponsoring shows. And today, the Caymanian lady that is in charge is finding her budget cut. And you telling me this not sabotage of Caymanian leaders? Come on, Cayman. How much more of this do you all want? Think back. Don't you remember seeing that cartoon? It was on there for months. Big shoes to fill. Well, we're going to take a short break. Dan Duguay, I hope you get comfortable. I understand you're on island, which is good. My location is on Eastern Avenue. It's the Rankin Plaza. Meet me downstairs if you want to discuss this after the show. Okay? But I'm going to talk about you and your sick mentality and your friend that you brought in and his sick mentality and what we had to do to get him out of this country. We'll be right back. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Joe Ebanks radio show. And Dan Duguay, this thing is for you. You want to get out here and I see in the newspaper the Caymanian Compass is still bigging you up and making you like you're some kind of saint and you're delivering all sorts of presentations on the corrupt Cayman and talking about it's endemic. The only thing that was endemic here was you and your sick brother that you brought in to do a audit on the Bosun's Beach. So, folks, let me tell you about Dan Duguay now. Since he's such a saint according to the Compass and other people. And Caymanian Compass, CNS, There's always saying that you never take you guys on because you guys got gallon of ink. Well, I got a pile of vocabulary here, and I'm on the radio as well. So we're going to be taking calls shortly. Once they start coming in, but I want you all to give me an opportunity to just deal with. If you have a call, I'll take the call. Hello, caller, you're on there.
Yes, hello, good evening, Joey.
Yeah.
I just want to say today is really sad when we look at this Commissioner of Police contract, and we see that the governor who speak about following the process and good governance and all of that, and he never advertised the position of the Commissioner of Police, and that is by law it is wrong and is not right. He should advertise that position, and he never follow the process. And I think if there is people who challenge that contract in court, they can be succeed in terminating that contract. That's one. The second thing, yes, sir, yes.
So go ahead quickly, because we have an hour and I want to cover Dan Duguay as well. Go ahead quickly.
Yes. And the second thing is we appear to see that there's a brochure for the candidate in Bodentown, Mr. Wayne Banton, and it have the governor picture in that brochure. And I think this is another thing wrong, and I think one media house did approach the governor office, and he don't mind that his picture to be there. I've been told by one media house, and I think that's another wrong. The other issue is about Mr. Dan Duguay. I want to say something publicly. You know, if he in the time when was Hassan Saeed and he thieving all these amount of money, and Mr. Duguay was in that position, and he never say anything publicly about that. And if he know all about all these corruptions in this island, why he don't open his mouth and say something? But now he is out of the job, and he being kicked out of the job. Now he's speaking and saying things and making accusation and all of that.
Okay.
But it's very sad. It's very sad.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your call. So folks, if we can get back to allowing me a chance to tell you about Dan Duguay, and I'm going to do this very calmly because, like I said, I'm very much in control of my emotions. I'm not worried. I'm not upset. These guys will try as they will to try and push my buttons, but those days are over. There's no way for them to push my buttons anymore. I'm calm. This is no longer even about me. This is about my country and where we're going and how these people are trying to destroy it as fast as they can. And I'm not going to sit back and let that happen. So, ex-Auditor General corruption endemic in Cayman. You know, we're all corrupt. All of us are corrupt. As long as you're a Caymanian, it's corrupt. And then when you look at the picture in the compass, you'll see that there's a photo of me in his presentation. And it's the same photo that Wendell Ledger's been using. It's the same photo they've all been using to attack me. And go ahead and attack away. The point is this. Let me tell you the story about Dan Duguay. Dan Duguay had an auditor by the name of Wendy. And I'm going to just give you her first name. Her first name was Wendy. And we applied. I was at Bosun's Beach at the time. I was a chief operating officer. Mr. Ken Hides was the managing director at the time. And we advertised for a CFO position. And she applied. We conducted interviews, and we selected her. When we selected her because she was coming from the Auditor General's office. So we wanted someone to ensure that we were doing things right and we could get our audits done quickly. So that experience kind of gave her the edge. So we selected her, and she came in, and I think she lasted a month, maybe a month and a half. And she was removed because Dan Duguay insisted she leave the island. So he began to threaten me. I think he did it first with Ken. Ken then called me up and said, look, now we have a problem with Wendy, and Dan Duguay is insistent that she leave. You need to go and see him. And I went and saw him. He was insistent that she leave because after he had brought her into the country, he had given her a job, and he wanted to make sure that when she resigned her position without fulfilling her contract, that she leave the country. So I went to Wendy and I said, what's going on? Now, according to Wendy, Dan Duguay had made some unwanted advances to her. And that is her reason for ending the contract. But she didn't want to leave, and when she saw the position, she applied for it. Regardless, I had discussions with Gloria Markfield Nixon, who was my chief officer at the time, and the board, of course, was notified. Certainly the chairman of the board, Joel Walton, was informed, and everybody was informed, and we made a decision. And in fact, by this stage, Winda was extremely afraid, very frightened, and chose to leave. She said, look, I'm getting out of this country because this guy will hurt me, and I want out. So she left. That was the first case. The then minister, the honorable, who was honorable at that time, he was the minister of tourism that Boston's Beach fell under, was Charles Clifford, and he asked for a value for money audit to be conducted on the Boston's Beach project. So he naturally made that application to the Auditor General, Dan Duguay, at the time. Dan Duguay, without going for tender, without advertising, brought in his buddy, his friend from Canada, and he gave him the contract to do this. He said his friend was unemployed in Canada and he needed a job. So his friend came in to Boston's Beach to conduct this audit, value for money. He was on site and made office space available to him on the request of the Auditor General, Dan Duguay. He asked me to, and I created office space for him, so that he could be on site and he could see the flow of the business. He could question any employee he wanted. Very transparent. Well, he was there for, I don't know, less than a month, when I was informed by someone that he had made unwanted, he had sexually harassed employees, the female employees. I had 3 employees who said that he had scared them. He had come up behind them. He had said very vulgar, very disgusting comments in their ear. He had whispered stuff, blew on their necks. And I immediately called an emergency meeting of the board. I wanted at the time to take this directly to the governor at the time. And I was told by my board chairman, no, we should deal with it at the board level. The board chairman was still Joel Walton. We called Dan Duguay in to the meeting. I tabled my evidence and the allegations against this guy, and I made it clear to my board, under no condition by the end of the day could Dan Duguay's friend remain on my site. There was discussion until one man, and I'm going to call his name, Morgan DaCosta. Morgan DaCosta stood up. He didn't sit. He stood up. And he said, not only must this man leave this site, he must leave my country. I will not have a predator roaming the streets of my country. Dan Duguay, at hearing that, immediately jumped up, went and got his friend, unpacked the office, put him in the car, and took him to the airport. I don't know where he sent him, where the first flight was going, I guess. That audit was never completed, but his friend got paid. Dan Duguay, you know what that is? Corruption. You know who did it? You. So when you run around the world and you run around the place talking about how Caymanians are endemic with corruption, here's what I suggest you do, you sicko. Go take a look in the mirror. Because people like you we brought in here, we made you something. And the Compass helped to try and create you and turn you into something. But you're still nothing. And the day of Joey Ebanks being afraid of the likes of you have long passed. You need to go and find your friend now. I don't know where you took him. I hope you checked him into some place that he can get some help. So, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake here. I can tell you the reason why that man was not allowed to stay in this country was because Morgan DaCosta had the guts to stand up with me in that boardroom and demand that man leave this country. So I can go and ask him. And I can ask the rest of the board members too. So let me give you a few names of people that was on the board at the time. Joel Walton, as you know, was the chairman. And I don't know what was his hesitation about getting rid of Dan Duguay at the same time, and they were about one shot, but it never happened. We had Gloria Markfield Nixon. We had her husband as well, Mr. Nixon. And we had Laura McLaughlin from the District of West Bay. You can go ask any of them that were in that meeting. Mario Ebanks, any of them that was in that meeting, if you think that I'm not telling you the truth. So, folks, the last election, Dan Duguay teamed up with the Caymanian Compass and attacked me. Remember I told you this? I told you this was coming again. Here they are doing it again from a different standpoint. Let me tell you why. The editor of the Compass, and you have to understand how far this thing goes, because there's connections here with everybody, okay? The editor of the Compass was part of the mass status grants. It is my understanding that Ezra Miller made a recommendation because at the time, he was the secretary for the United Democratic Party. So that was his list that he submitted. She was on it. Her husband was Ezra's partner in a business. And I didn't get this from Ezra, or I didn't get it from the streets on our side. I got it directly from the editor of the Compass. She told me in the last election that Ezra was a previous partner with her husband in a business. Okay? And that he had ripped them off. That's what she told me. So let me explain something here. When you see people like this little guy called Dan Duguay running around here begging for work, and he getting paid to call all of us thieves and say all these nasty things about us, you need to know the whole facts. Because this man brought a predator into our country, and I insisted he be removed, and I had the good fortune, to have Morgan DaCosta as a member of my board, who stood up as a Caymanian man and helped me get rid of them. Now, when I had finished compiling all the evidence, I ran for election. Dan Duguay teamed up with Ezra and the Compass, and they ran that damning story on me to make sure I didn't win. So they got involved because of what I had done Dan Duguay and his friend. Okay, this was vengeance then. And I got stop pause here and to say to you, Dan Duguay and the Cayman Compass, thank you very much for running this article on me today, because I would never have remembered this had you not reminded me of it. Please run another one tomorrow so I can bring out some more and we can talk about where the corruption and the sickness really lies in this country, because it's not the good Christian Caymanian people. It's you people that we import into this country. So they ran this thing with me because, one, Ezra had helped the editor of the Compass get a sawdust. He was a past partner of our family. I had gotten rid of Dan Duguay, buddy, so he couldn't make no more money and eventually rape somebody, a child or something. So I got rid of him. And Dan Duguay, of course, was very upset, and Ezra was his way of getting back to me. So they ran that very damning story on me to prevent me from being elected Northside. And remember, Northsiders, they're going to do it again, and they're going to do it again. And I'm telling you right now, you can't believe anything these people tell you. Okay? Because you can ask any of the 117 employees at Boston Speech Turtle Farm at the time. They will tell you what I'm saying is true. Ask Morgan DaCosta, ask the board members. If they choose to lie, they choose to lie. But I know one thing. They won't control 117 people and make them lie. There are Westbears down there working still, and there are past employees there who know what I'm saying to be the truth. Ken Hines knows what I'm saying is the truth. He can say it yes or no. But I also got some other people who know what I'm saying about Windy is the truth as well. So Dan Duguay had this operation, and he ran it against me to stop me from winning the election. Then he and Ezra spent the next 6 months calling me a thief on the radio, thief every day, branding me as a thief. And then when we got final, and I did what Jeremiah Jackson is doing right now. What Jeremiah is doing right now is staying quiet and waiting for his day in court. That's what I did back then. Well, here's the thing. I have always been and tried to be a gentleman. I've always tried to do the right thing, and I've always tried to be calm in how I approach people. Because for many reasons, Caymanians are always treated as suspicious with everything by the garbage like Dan Duguay that washes up on our shore here. And you have to tiptoe around. For some reason, Caymanians have to work 3 times as hard for 3 times less than the filth that we sometimes import. So I've played that game. I'm not playing that game anymore. Days of playing that game is over. You've awoken a lion in me, and you're going to get the lion. And the lion is going to rip you apart. I'm coming after you, Dan Duguay. I'm coming after you, Duncan Taylor. I'm coming after you, Dan Scott. Coming after you, David Baines. And I'm coming after you, Ezra Miller. And anybody who gets in the way along the way, you can join the party too. I didn't pick this fight. I didn't start this. You guys started this. You drew first blood. Now I'm going to finish it. I was happy in my little job. You chose to threaten me, and then you chose to suspend me because I refused to take your bribe. Well, I still happy I didn't take your bribe. I still don't want your money. I don't have anything. I don't have much of anything. I got a family that I love very dearly, and that's what's near and dear to me. That's what I have. That's what I really have. I have my children, all of my children. That's it. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. And there's a lot of people in this country who's been praying for me and who's helped me through this journey to this point. The reason why I can sit here today very calmly, very strong, and speak to you the way I'm speaking to you is because I have all those people praying for me and supporting me and saying, keep going, Joey. Your stuff is not working anymore. Every time you run an article on me, I'm going to take 2 shots at you. I told you this before because I have sufficient evidence. I got boxes and boxes of it. I got 22 recordings. And I'm going to come and I'm going to keep coming back. God is walking with me. So, he has to be. If he wasn't, there's no way I could have made it this far. No way that I could have made it on my own this far. So the churches in this country, let me tell you all something. You all need to start praying for me and my family. And the people in this country, all of you. And let me tell you something. I'm not asking you to pray to make me victorious. I'm asking you to pray to keep me strong and honest. Because honesty has got me this far too. Everything I've said, I produce evidence on. I'm not like your average politician running around telling you stories about what will happen or what may happen. I'm producing evidence to show you all that I'm innocent of this. I've produced this evidence. They tried to try me public. I chose to defend myself publicly. So, thus far, they keep coming and I keep coming back. And I keep talking about the fact that this is a 3-round boxing match. And this is supposed to be the second round. Our first round was when I came out and I made it clear what my intentions were. Well, it doesn't seem like they'll be able to recover from the first round because I haven't felt anything yet. Because let me tell you something came on Compass. Taylorism, Dan Scott, David Baines, and Ezra Miller and Dan Duguay. If Dan Duguay's article in the Compass today is your best shot, you're going to have to come with a whole lot more. Because this doesn't even faze me. In fact, it's quite boring. It didn't even really get to me. You're going to have to come harder than this because I tell you, I'm coming harder than this. When you see me get elected, I'm bringing my 10 independent investigations. 10 independent investigations. And you're not going to be able to stop them, and you're not going to be able to get in the way of them. And everybody who has found that I have the evidence to prove it's corrupt, and I have evidence, I am going to see to it, as a parliamentarian, I'm going to see to it that you go before the courts and let the courts decide. See, I'm not even going to want to see to it that you go to jail. I'm going to trust the court system because by then, the justice system in this country is going to be straight. We're going to remove all connections to corruption from it and the corrupt elite. We're going to see to that. So, you need to come a little bit better. I told you I would give you the second round. You're still acting like you can't get over yourself. So maybe you're so caught up. You don't have the time. Maybe it's trying to see what else you missed on the first run through stealing everything you couldn't find that wasn't nailed down. And you're looking back to see if there's anything you missed. Well, you keep looking back because I'm going to keep punching you. And Dan Duguay isn't man enough for me anymore. You all better come together one time because I'm coming for each and every one of you. To the young people in this country, let me tell them something. You all need to stand up now and help me with this fight. You need to join hands with the young people on our side, and we need to move your parents, we need to move your grandparents, and we need to remove the corrupt elite in this country. You have to give me a chance to do that. I've given you the evidence. I told you what I'm going to do. If I don't do this, then I welcome all of you to rally and come to Parliament and demand my removal. Okay? But just give me that chance to finish this journey that I've set on to end corruption in this country. Just give me that chance to finish this. Don't make me come so close and not be able to finish. Just give me that chance. Go on outside, knock on some doors for me. Call the people you know. Call the people you know. That's all you have to do. Just call the people you know and ask them to vote for Joey Ebanks, #1 on the ballot. Let me get to Parliament. Jonathan Pearson has committed to helping me and seconding these motions for me. He's committed, he's seen some of the evidence, he's ready, and I'm asking the Georgetown people to please give me my seconder so that I can get to Parliament and I can end this corruption in this country. Do not let these people continue to call us thieves and how the likes of Dan Duguay. Dan Duguay should not be allowed back into this country. Okay? The people like him, we don't even want to visit as a visitor. Because he comes in, he causes far more harm than good. He was never in a good. Ever. Not one single audit he did in this country was good. That the people did a good job. Not one. He twisted and twisted and twisted until he made it out that we were all thieves. And that's what we import. Listen, I love auditors. I like auditors that be able to show me where I made mistakes and help me improve my management and leadership style. But Dan Duguay wasn't doing that. He was out to destroy this country every chance he get. Now he's up on stage. Someone's paying him to get up on stage and call Cayman, say Cayman is corrupt. It's endemic. We're all corrupt. Well, we're not all corrupt. It's just a corrupt fruit, the corrupt elite that we have to take out because there's a lot of poor people, poor because of the corruption. A lot of people doing without electricity, doing without food because of the corrupt elite stealing everything that isn't nailed down. And we want to bring an end to that. And again, make no mistake, I am very calm, I'm very determined, and I'm very strong. I'm stronger today than I was the first day I walked in here and took this on. So, young people, I'm saying to you, come on now. You got to walk this walk with me. You have to take this journey with me. You know what I'm saying is this. I am committing to you and the rest of the Caymanian public. If you help get me elected, if I fail to do what I say I'm going to do, you all of you can come for my caucus. You can come and grab me and pull me out of parliament. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm committing to here. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm saying that's what's on the line. Remember, these shows are recorded. I post them up on YouTube. Remember what I just said. I'm saying to you, save a copy, because if I don't fulfill my promise to you about ending corruption, about bringing these 10 independent investigations, you can remove me from parliament. You can play it back over and over, because this is a commitment I am making to you, the people of this country and the world. I am going to bring these 10, and I'm going to see them through. And one of these 10, I want to touch on one of these 10. One of these 10 relates to whether or not the minister who was responsible for CUC had paid his bill consistently at the time the negotiations were going on, and if any member of CUC paid in a percentage of that. And if they did, there's a conflict. If there's a conflict, we have to bring that contract, that license into this back into negotiation. We have to take a look at how that impacted that and what could have caused it. And we have to do this through the court system, okay? We can't be heavy-handed and go take people's businesses. We have to prove it with the independent investigation. We have to go to court, ask the courts to see, look at the evidence, and we have to ask them to break the license. And then we have to make a decision. And I think, and here's what I am propose to Parliament. We have had enough of all this money leaving this country, making foreigners richer and richer and richer, while Caymanians are poorer and poorer and poorer. But I do not believe a government can run an organization like this. CUC has some great employees, great, brilliant, well-trained employees. We need to take a look at giving them this company, or securing sufficient funding that they can take this company over, and the Caymanian people can own the electrical company in this country. So I'm not interested in causing harm to the employees of CUC. I'm telling you, you guys, it's time for you to step up now too. You, the CUC people, you, the CUC linemen, all of you, engine room staff, you need to step up now, because if this occurred, we need to bring the cost down of this electricity on everyone, and you need to take some ownership of this company beyond just being an employee, full ownership, so that the dividends produced by it is not going overseas. That 50-something% is not being shipped out. It's staying here in your pocket. One of the ways that we have to defeat corruption in this country is to create more wealthy Caymanians. We got too few. So we create more wealthy Caymanians, and they will help us eradicate corruption in this country. So I've come to the end of my hour. In fact, I've gone across by 5 minutes. But I just want to say that to the CUC staff. I'm not out for you. I'm out for helping you too, because this is going to end. There's a new dawn in this country. Okay? And it's time for Caymanian men to do what Morgan DaCosta did to help me. Stand up. He stood up, and he said, get this predator out of my country. So every one of you, whenever you see Morgan DaCosta, you should thank him, because this is the first time this is being made public. And it was kept secret for various reasons, but I'm tired of keeping things secret, because this thing nearly killed me, keeping all the garbage that I knew about inside my system, keeping it secret, not want to discuss it publicly. And I'm saying to you, it's time now. There's a new dawn, Cayman. It's time for us to rid ourselves of all the corrupt elite. And Dan Duguay, if you are truly in my country, please go to the airport and leave, or tell me where it is. I'll come meet you if you want to challenge me on anything I've said here today. Happy to meet you. Anytime, any place. And Ezra, don't go around telling everybody you're one in Northside.
This race is just really getting hot now. We got 7 days. Let's see who can go the distance, me or you. Pastor Al had to fight, ladies and gentlemen, fight to keep Ezard from corrupting the hospital, the Health Services Authority. There's a video clip of it on my Facebook page, and you can go there and take a look at how he had submitted and was doing consulting with the HSA, and then wanted the chairmanship as well. Why? So you could reward yourself, more money for your consulting. That pastor had to fight tooth and nail to prevent that from happening after what he had worked so hard to build with the HSA, to keep Ezra from corrupting that the way he had corrupted the work permit board, trying to sell 800 work permits to the Ritz-Carlton. Ezra is corrupt, and he's a coward. He's a coward. So he keeps talking about, I guess I'll be called a coward. You are a coward, Ezra. You're hiding. Come on out in the middle of the street and debate me on the issues. Okay? Come. Stop being a coward. Stop running around about you don't want to debate me because I'm a criminal, because I'm not a criminal. My Bill of Rights states clearly that everyone is innocent until otherwise. Okay? And if you're saying that, that's the way you feel about everybody. Just like how you felt about ICCI. Just like how you say there's just a one-room little place that you can barely see when you're passing. So as this race in Northside has just begun. To the people of East End, let me tell you something. To the good people of East End, and I'm going to call two people in particular, to Jiva and Donny. Let me tell you something. We're going to end this contract with CUC. We're going to get the cost of electricity down through this process. We're going to get that done. But we can't get it done if I'm going to send him back. If I'm going to send that man back, he's going to do everything in his power to prevent from being exposed. You need to send the young boy so we can get this thing done. You need to send Johnny to Parliament. Let's finish this. I have my seconder. I have Jonathan Pierce saying, I'll stand with you, Joey. He called me. He was willing to come to my meeting Wednesday night, and he's willing to endorse me. And I said, that's okay. I'm going to go the distance. I'm going to finish this journey. I got a bunch of young people in Northside who's standing up with me, and I'm standing up with them and for them. So you all come on. Come on. Because we really have nothing left to lose but our country, and I'll be darned if we're going to let you take that from us. You can't. It's all we got left. We have children. They're going to have more children, and we're going to make sure that their children gets this country back in their hands. Thank you all for joining the Joe Ebanks Show. See you all here tomorrow evening. And don't forget, Wednesday night, 7:30, Old Man Bay Play Field. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have my presentation up. Come out. I have some small business owners who are renting and leasing buses, and they're going to be right here at Rankins Plaza. They're going to invite you to come. They'll give you a ride. They'll bring you back to your car if you don't want a long journey, the long drive. If you can't get a ride, they'll certainly be here to give you a ride. I'm inviting everyone to come up. Everyone. All the candidates, all your supporters, all of you. Come up and take a look at this model I have for Northside. Take a look at what I'm proposing. And let me tell you, I'm not done with corruption yet. I'm just waiting to see how many more of these candidates and how much longer. How many more of these candidates are going to take the Jonathan Pierce position and stand up like a man? Stand up like a man. Stand up for your country. And you ladies, candidates, you need to stand up now too. Take a stand tall, stand firm, because this is our country. We got to take it back from the corrupt elite, because the young people have had enough, and I've had enough with them. Young people, don't forget this. Duncan Taylor made me sleep in jail one night. He refused to give me bail. That was intended to break me. I slept soundly because I grew up poor. I was born in poverty, and I grew up poor, and I haven't forgotten where I've come from. And in the time, in the place, I got up, and I'm going to beat him on this too. And I said the first night of this show that this man will be gone. And you're seeing it before the election. Before the election. And he was compelled to make this publicly. So this fight is just getting good. So come on now. Let's we take our country back, and let's do it without any form of violence. Let's do it with smiles on our face, shoulders squared, head held high, and let's show these people that the Caymanian people are proud, decent, honest people, and we want our country back. Thank you all for joining me.
Hi, this is Joe Ebanks, and I'm just letting you all know that the Joe Ebanks Show is for paid programming. I accept all liability from the show. My guests will accept theirs, and all callers, and I am not affiliated in any way with the Paramount Group of Companies. Its managers or employees.